Welcome, everybody, to a very special episode of Slay the Stars, our Cour 4 recap. This one's going to take us from episode 48 the whole way up to 63, which is the end of Arc 1. And we have a lot of ground to cover, so we're just going to jump right in with episode 48. I'm going to burn them all. This episode is where we see Eravon, the mage, at oh shit, what's the name of that school now? The LNS Tonome. Thank you for getting my own lore. Send Zemenshar back to Morbale. We get to check in with Toslane and see what has been happening there. And the biggest part of this episode is that we see what has happened to Headmistress Eva Ristos of Stellium Academy. That being that she was feeble-minded by Dalius. We see Zem sort of grappling with that, and Zem, Shar, and Rafe, who is with them for the next couple episodes, trying to make up a plan, figure out what to do next, how they're going to help the head mistress. I just want to jump right into it, start with Jenn here on this one, because this was kind of a difficult episode for you. Like, we actually had to stop at one point because it got a little real. Share as much as you want to about that.
Yeah, it's funny because I don't think that it really connected with any of us until we were in it, like in that exact moment. But my grandmother passed, she had dementia, so a lot of what I was saying, it just occurred to me that I had done similar things with her, and it was really rough. But we just, took that break, relaxed, came back to it. I think it's just how grief works. It comes to you out of nowhere and smacks you in the face, and
it really does. I know when I was prepping that episode and deciding how I was going to portray that as the NPC, it didn't really dawn on me in those moments until I looked over at you while we were playing and realized how it was impacting you, and was immediately like, okay, we can stop for a second here, because I didn't realize this, and oh my god, like, do we need to stop?
Yeah. And I remember you even asked, you were like, we can redo this, like, we'll do it different, and I said absolutely not. Like, it was beautiful in that way that is awful, if that makes sense. So I didn't want to take that away. It was really good. It just, needed that minute to recover.
Yeah. And I think that that's one of the things that's both really awesome about working with people who you're comfortable with, people who you've known for a long time and feel like safe with, because we can go to those dark sort of places together, even though it sucks and it's hard. But as we saw with how that arc ended, I think there's a little bit of like catharsis in it as well.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. No, I agree. And I think too, added bonus of us recording in person together too, because I know that that's hard to notice when you're trying to do things over the internet or distanced or whatever. But I also can't hide my face. I can't control my face.
It's true. Oh, that was one of the few episodes where I was really glad that we weren't recording our faces, because that episode... Arthur, you can chime in here, because there was a moment for you in that episode as well when it was revealed, sort of, whenever you guys found her books and her journal, and it was saying that she knew that Dalius was plotting something, but she didn't want to go anywhere. She didn't want to just leave because she wanted to make sure the kids were safe and stuff. And I know that hit you really hard as well.
So it's kind of funny because I have my grandma also had Alzheimer's. So it was kind of, I think, just a building thing of like, oh, and then it just kind of floodgates finally broke, because the shit doesn't bother me like that, and you're just like, trauma, and
yes.
And then it was one of those like, oh, that hurt, oh no.
Yeah. That episode left all of us kind of blubbering messes.
a little traumatized.
Just a smidge.
But like, it was, I don't know, I'll speak for myself here and say, like, it was almost in a good way though. Like, there was that
It was safe.
It was safe, and so
Hmm.
it felt like this outlet of emotions, and like it, it was, in my opinion, the interactions between Zem and Shar and Zem and Ristos and Zem and Rafe even and Shar and Rafe, like all of those connections that were made were so deep and meaningful and really pushed all of those characters in a direction we hadn't seen them go before. And I don't know. It felt good at the end. It felt like we had made something meaningful.
I agree.
Hmm. Hmm.
And from there, we went to episode 49, Fools Hold Secrets. At this point, we spent a lot of time processing trauma. And Zem has a dream in that one. Is this the one where you took the sleeping pills?
No, I think that was
Next
further
one.
That's
down.
the next one? Okay. Okay. We'll get there. So Zem has a dream with Adria in it, and Adria finally reveals her intentions, which is that she wants Zem to kill Shar. We also find out in this episode that Turiel was also killed during the fighting in Annenfell. I kind of want to talk about the reveal, the big Adria drop here when she says, like, when you actually come out and ask her, like, what is it you want? Like, just cut to the chase, stop screwing around. And in that moment, me as Adria, I'm thinking, like, this is the time where I think a lot of DMs, a lot of like BBEGs would like try to obfuscate their feelings, what they're trying to do, their plan. They don't want to give too much away. But I was like, Adria is not that person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so when she just came right out and said the quiet thing loud, uh what what were you thinking in that moment? What was Zem thinking? What was Jenn thinking?
Um, I think Zem was feeling kind of relieved to just have it out in the open, and be able to figure things out and deal with it from there. On top of being like, absolutely, like, well, that's not happening. You know what I mean? So, like, now what? Like, how do I play this game? Because I need to figure out a way to get us better positioned. To handle this, because she's never not gonna like choose Shar.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was just, that moment of like, okay, all right, she said it. Now what? Now what's my next move? I was very much like, yes, like let's let the scheming begin from here, because now this is a different game now. Like, this
Mm-hmm.
is completely different. Um there's a lot at play, and a lot of like maneuvering to attempt for a child a child to do, basically. So,
Arthur, this is an interesting moment too, because this is one of those things where you the player heard something that is very obviously important to Shar the character, but Shar the character knows nothing about it.
Hmm.
So, going forward, how hard was it for you to pretend like you didn't know that Zem had that conversation?
I'll be perfectly honest, not difficult. I would try to toss a bone to be like, do you want to pick up this conversation? No? Okay, moving on. Like, that's more like where I took it. Like, my job was to present opportunities for the conversation to take place, not metagame the shit out of it.
Yeah,
Because I still want it to occur naturally if that's the case. And if
absolutely.
not, because then it feels forced because they're just saying, oh, yeah, you see metagaming.
Yep.
But me as a person, yeah, I wanted to talk about it. Like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
it wasn't right yet.
Well, and from me watching as like the sort of omniscient narrator of the story, the fact that Zem didn't immediately run to Shar and say like, "Oh my God, this thing just happened," I was like, "Oh, like how are we gonna play this? How long are we gonna keep this in our pocket? You know, like when is a good time for Zem to bring this up?"
And I think it on a non-meta level, like Shar is a wisdom-based individual and insightful. He knows something's wrong, but he doesn't know what. Like
Mhm.
the entire vibe feels very accurate
Yeah.
going forward.
I agree. I agree. All right. And so from there we go to episode 50. Who wants to live forever? In this episode, you did a bunch of shopping. This is when you start heading south towards Kai's house. And you yeah, I mean this is mostly a travel episode. I don't think there was a ton of interesting stuff that happened here. This is the last episode that you had a conversation with Amara as well.
That's right.
That is because that's what happens in this episode. You have an episode
Is
with
this the one where I
Amara.
wave at her?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And this is also the episode where Rafe comes clean to you, Zem, with everything that he knows about his past, which is not a lot.
I was gonna say.
So this was an episode with quite a few heavy lore drops, but
We kept sandbagging the episode.
yeah. So I mean, it's been so long since Shar has talked to Amara, so that's kind of what I want to
literally-
focus on here. Like,
What are we at? 63. So
63.
13 episodes have not talked to his deity.
yeah,
Weird.
that is weird.
What a bitch.
What a bitch. In episode 51, Blood on the Vines, that is when
That was the
we
tree.
get into the tree fight,
Mhm.
which goes the whole way back to episode 6, Campfire Stories. And Jenn, we talked about this a little in the past, but we can touch on it again, because this story was a family story that you told in episode 6. How did you feel seeing that monster come to life for your character?
I mean, so as a player, I thought that it was just really cool. It was really fun bringing that childhood story to life. That was really, really fun. It's a little modified for, our purposes,
Absolutely.
but it was cool. As a character, it was horrifying. And just kind of a little surreal because, I mean, did it, so that wasn't just a horror story that, my professor told me this was real, this exists out in the world? Like, it was horrifying.
Yeah, I like the idea that all stories are based in some kernel of truth, right? And I mean, this obviously ended up being truth in a big way because this thing actually ended up existing very close to what it was in the story that we told in the podcast. And this is actually something that I wanted to do more of. I wanted to insert more of these sorts of stories and then have you encounter them actually out in the wild. We just didn't have the time, which is crazy to think because we're telling such a concise story around these two people. You think we have all this time in the world, but we've done 63 episodes and I feel like there's so many other things I wish I could cram in here.
Yeah.
I don't know. Episode 52, What You Believe Becomes Your World. This is the one where Zem took the sleeping pill and took the fight to Adria. At the same time, this is when Shar is watching Zem in this dream trance-like state being taken over again. He's being attacked, Rafe's being attacked, and eventually you end up making your way to Kai's house that has been burnt to the ground. I'm just going to let the two of you talk about this episode a little bit because I feel like there's a lot here to discuss.
Well, first of all, with the drugs.
I
I mean, so what I was thinking as a player is that I need to figure out some way to figure out if there is anything I can do to control these dreams. I haven't found it yet. But this was like a shot in the dark. And
Yes, it was.
I truly thought that it was going to be safer, like not totally safe, but safer. I was wrong.
I think my favorite part of that is that Shar, both in and out of character, are freaking the fuck out because I know this is a bad idea. Shar thinks it's a bad idea. But then in universe, like Shar and Rafe are just like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Well,
And
I thought I like the moment where both Shar and Rafe are watching Zem go to sleep after taking these pills, and they both have this moment where they look at each other and they're sort of like, "Why didn't you stop?" You know, like,
yeah,
I thought you would stop her. You thought I would stop her. Nobody stopped her.
Has anyone met me? There's no stopping it. I'm never not going to push the button.
we know.
Zem or Jenn.
It's true.
It was one of those, like, on the off chance that you might listen to reason and not be chaotic, don't
Aw.
fucking do it. However, we knew you were going to do it. The second you bought them in the store or were gifted
Yeah.
them from was it the hospital? Didn't,
Yes.
Yeah, 'cause
wherever
it
you
was-
picked them up.
I think I got them in effort of keeping Ristos
Mhm.
comfortable.
Oh, that's right. So the second you had acquired them, I'm like, this is problem.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I know that you didn't realize it yet, but like you're just like, yeah, for Resos. I'm like, no.
Well, no, but so the thing is though, like, I don't know. I was hoping that there would be some sort of thing that I could figure out in the dream to help me gain some sort of control.
No, the way that I'm just, because after the episode, past when we recorded, I'm like, what the fuck were you thinking?
Yeah.
And you're just like, no, I was thinking this, and this. I'm like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm still frustrated, but I understand it now.
Well, I think that for me this moment was super cool because it's one of the first times that we see one of these characters become like openly like take the reins, like I am not going to be pushed around anymore. I'm going to do this to take the fight to this other person, right? And so yeah, I mean maybe it was a little misguided, but Zen was also in a really weird frame of mind at the time. Like she's dealing with a lot of stress all in this moment. And so it was fun to watch her say like I'm done. Like I'm going to act now. And it didn't go too poorly. You were able to pull yourself out of the dream.
Survived.
But
barely.
not just that, she was trying to hold you in and you overcame
That's
her.
true.
So that was also a hugely like satisfying moment for Zem to see like I could win,
Mm-hmm.
maybe.
Mm-hmm.
A 1 in 20 chance.
A 1 in 20 chance and I could win. Episode 53.
Well, wait.
Oh, go ahead.
The cabin. So getting to
Oh,
the
yes, we
cabin.
didn't even talk about the end of that.
So, and not to like draw this one out, but that was huge because I feel like both as a player and a character, it was we just need to get here. We just need to get here. We just need to, like, everything was like hinged on that. And in my brain, it was going to be a relief. Now I know Leah.
Hi.
So I was expecting something, but I was not expecting this. That was wild.
Yeah,
And then we stopped recording for the day, so also fuck you.
I was just going to say, yeah, that was normally we record 3 or 4 episodes at a time, and that was the end of a recording session. And that was one of the few times I've actually felt mean. Leaving that recording session, knowing we weren't coming back for a whole month and leaving it on that.
Wasn't it
note.
like a month and a half to 2 months for that period?
It might have
Because
been.
wasn't that right before Gen Con when we finished that one?
I don't remember.
I can't remember either. It might have been. It was definitely a while. And so I have actually gotten feedback on this from people who have said, like, I should have been meaner. I should have put, X number of bodies in the cabin so it looked like Kai, Shar's parents, and Karina all were dead instead of the 2 bodies that I put in the cabin. And I personally think that wouldn't have been great for 2 reasons, right? Number 1, Zem and Shar are already sort of defeated. Like Jen said, this was like we just need to get there and things will be better. We just need to get there and it will be okay. So having the place destroyed when they got there was hard enough. And number 2, like having bodies there that seemed to signify all of the people who they were there, that's almost like removing their last shred of hope, their last like thing that they're fighting for, right? That
See,
felt
I
mean.
thought the implication was actually meaner that there wasn't more bodies in there. That means that there was a couple that got captured to me.
And that's fine.
And I'm just like,
That's fine. And that was one of the things that I thought you might take away from it, especially if you hadn't discovered the flower, right?
Hmm.
The flower that Kai left to tell you we're okay, or at least some of us are okay, and we've gone south, right? If you hadn't found that, you might have thought that they got captured, and God knows Zem probably would have wanted to go guns blazing into the garden, and this would have been a whole different,
Who, me?
a whole different story.
We would have died.
um, but yeah, so I think the way it played out was actually perfect. I liked it, and I stand by it.
Yeah, let me defend my actions real
Let me
quick.
defend my actions, okay? Okay, episode 53, deals and discussions. Shar, this is when you have your run-in with Nox.
Hmm.
And at the end of that interaction, you and Zem finally talk about these outside influences, these outside deities that are trying to pull you apart, pit you against each other. Uh, what were those moments like when you were talking with Nox? Was Shar tempted at all to play into that hand?
See, the thing with Shar is like he will walk down a path as far as he possibly can, but never go over the line. Zem is the exact, which you will go down the entire path and then say fuck it and cross the line with extreme gusto. But with Shar, he tries to map every option out first and then pick a path. But the second that it involved Zem, like the fact that one of us could die, he doesn't take the option regardless. So like path gets like plugged. No more. But with Nox, I think the conversation was more of it felt more like she was trying to become his deity, not that she was offering an option to him. That's the way the conversation felt, but I don't know if that's how the vibe was, but
Mm-hmm.
that was more for him. He's like, okay, what did you do?
Interesting.
And also, you did have to correct me that I did not know about certain parts of the Pantheon.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, that makes sense. She's like, you don't know that. I'm like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
never mind. That doesn't make sense. What do you mean?
Yeah.
One of the bummers about having like lore knowledge beforehand because we're working out all the kinks.
See, and
That's
this is why when you want to look at me and be like, how don't you know that? Like, we've had that information. I can't fuck up.
I'm sorry, I'm a nerd. Okay.
Jenn, this was one of the times where you got to be the fly on the wall watching Shar interact with a probably nefarious deity about things that involved Zem. So what was it like for you being in that situation? Because I know that Zem and Amara seem to be at odds here, but Amara's never made any aggressive comments or actions towards Zem.
I don't know that I would go so far as to say that they're at odds. I think that she just doesn't trust her and she doesn't find her useful.
Mm-hmm,
And knows that Shar does find her useful, so she's like, whatever, I mean, fine. Um at this time.
At this time.
I find it very hard to not write notes. Like during those moments, because when I'm not interacting, it's easy to write notes, but like in those moments I'm not even around. So I don't know, like it was fun to watch. I don't have any like concerns about downplaying that. I think I'm okay with that for the most part. But it was interesting to note like just how many secrets they keep from each other while also insisting on like protecting each other.
Mm-hmm.
Just, big dumb.
Yeah. Yeah. As Shar, when Nox said to him that that it seems that there is a divide between he and Zamira, where Zamira is channeling this like darkness and Shar is this light, but both of these things come from the same place, which I took from the art book that Jenn made for Zamira, which, if you haven't seen that, it's on our Patreon. It's very cool. Well, pictures of it are. Um, what was that revelation like to Shar? Did he not really grasp in the moment what she was trying to say to him?
I think he only understands like the concept of it, not the application. So he's like, yeah, I mean, it would absolutely come from the same place, like other. But other than that, like he doesn't know the minutia of the other.
Yeah, yeah. He doesn't understand that she's saying like he has the same propensity for
Hmm.
darkness that Zamira does. Interesting. Interesting. And then when the two of you finally came together and put the cards on the table, when, Zem is saying to Char, like, Adria wants me to kill you, and you're saying, yeah, Nox is telling me that one of us has to die. And then you sort of come to this conclusion where it's like, well, we don't have to take either. There has to be a third option, and we're going to find that together. What was that like for the two of you finally having that conversation 54 episodes into the pod, 54 plus hours into this game, where the two of you finally come together on this?
I think it felt natural. It
Yeah.
it felt like this was the time. I think it made it more meaningful that it wasn't just the whole time like, well, so and so said to me, because I think that's pretty forced. Even though we had grown up together, like we well established our relationship prior to meeting back up. Those, what did we say, 2 years we essentially spent apart?
Yeah,
Something close
roughly
to
that.
that.
Yeah.
Like we changed big time. Like we became more closely aligned with who we are still becoming. And so coming back and having that history gives us some um comfort, I guess, in knowing where we're coming from, but at the same time we don't really know each other anymore, so there's not that immediate trust. It's trust insofar as we both need to survive, but not like I'm gonna bare my soul to you kind of thing. Um, until now. I mean, like, we've literally murdered across this continent together, so.
Yeah. Um, I think it's so doing this in general. There's been a couple revelations of like, oh, that's how that would actually play feeling out. Like I think we've apologized to what's her name that wrote Twilight because the way that we approached that conversation was like, oh my god, it's the fucking same. Because I've shit on that like part of it, like say it, vampire, like, and we did the same fucking thing, but it was just like, oh man, I don't want her to be right, Stephanie Meyer.
Stephanie Meyer.
But then there's stuff like this where it's like, yeah, like trauma doesn't heal quickly. Like this takes time,
Yeah.
and their trauma, like, yeah, they've made each other a lot better along the way, but it's taken time for them to heal over their joint trauma for 54 episodes.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of one of those like, yeah, this is more the relationship is more real because it's not forced, and it's not romantic either, which is in my I'm a sucker for a good best friend trope.
Mm-hmm.
I mean it's nice to be able to have someone that you can talk to without being worried about feelings and romantic things. Yeah. And I think too that it was just such a place of relief too, like fear up until and then get it all out there and then relief, like okay, we both have all the facts now, well, as
Mostly.
many of the facts that we have obtained between the two of us, and now we can come at this from multiple angles because neither side had the full picture, and neither side was going to come up with the right solution alone anyway, either way rather.
Yeah, because it was bleak, 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 and then it's like, you know what, things can get better.
Mm-hmm.
Finally.
I like that.
And I think I got attacked by a crab.
No, that's in episode 55. In 54, we have two doozy episodes, one right after another here. I don't know what I was on during this. But so episode 54 is the King of Death. We get our last two TBK characters that we've interacted with recently. That would be Kay's Leo and Jasper's Etienne. And this episode, I knew it was going to be weird from the beginning whenever these two TBK characters came to me. And so I was like, just lean into it. Just have some weird thing happen one night that is sort of unexplainable. We've already established that there are vampires in this world and weird killer trees. Like, there can be some other weird stuff. And so basically, in this episode, Zem and Shar take a bit of a sidestep out of the forefront, and we get to see the end play out of this story between these two random characters. And what was that like for the two of you watching this drama unfold?
So, this episode has my favorite natural one of any of the campaign, which was when he was trying to stealth knock out the guard on the horse, and the guard like nat one, so the horse just kind of moved gently. What was it, like Robin Hood Men in Tights?
Yes.
Like, the fact
Yes.
that happened, I can die happily. But
So good.
it was interesting because I, as Shar, is just like, I'm not going to interfere. This is like on them. And then there's Zem is just like, I'm going to get all up in your business.
Zem's like, pew, pew, pew.
So anyway, I start blasting.
Yeah. I loved that Rafe just kind of like took Ristos
And
on a
fucking
walk
What
and
an
just,
asshole.
just
I'm
fucked
still
off.
mad at him about that.
I was like, I'm not running all these damn NPCs in this fight. Rafe and Ristos are just off doing their
Yeah,
thing.
so I'm going to get out of here.
But there was this real. So when Kay gave me this TBK character, I was like, this character does not live past this episode. So regardless of whether he survived or Etienne survived, his character was going to die at the end of the end of this episode. And I did not expect the roleplay moment we had at the end between Zem and Leo.
Me either.
That was actually really like deep and emotional and awesome.
I don't know where it came from, but it worked.
It worked so well. I loved it, and you got some fun loot out of that. I think Shar now that's how you got your Amulet of the
Yeah.
Devout or whatever. So
I took. Oh, yes.
So I think there was a sword that we sold later on.
yes,
I
Leo's
tried to take a
sword.
certain book, but.
It disintegrated.
The Necronomicon.
Uh-huh.
Do we have copyright to say that?
I don't.
That's why she said necro.
A necro in the episode. That was actually Jasper's idea as well, to have the book disintegrate when Etienne died, if Etienne died.
It was a cool moment, but I'm still salty about it.
But in reality, it was just a coloring book,
Hilarious.
paint by numbers.
I want that.
But so at the beginning of the episode, though, we just see Zem sitting by this fire alone because Shar ran to a tree because that's what Shar
Bunch
does.
of bitches.
And Rafe took Ristos off into the woods.
Well,
And-
the scene started with, "Are you going to run?" No.
Yeah, but Etienne is trying to get you to sign the book.
I know.
Zem. Did you actually consider doing it?
No,
No,
that was not gonna
I was
happen.
curious.
Yeah, no, it wasn't gonna happen. I was just trying to get close.
All right. It would have been interesting to see Zem join the army of the undead. What a way to lose a character,
Right.
honestly. Episode 55, shock and two things happen here. Shar almost dies to a crab, and we get the name of the group finally established 55 episodes in. Shock and awe.
So fucking good.
It's so fucking good. I was really sure you were going to die to a crab at one point.
It was bad.
It was really bad.
For no reason.
It-
So
Just bad
okay.
rolls.
So it was bad rolls, and then I made an absolute dumbass tactical decision, like in the middle of it. So that was partially on me.
Yeah.
But then the other part is I just couldn't roll my way out of a paper bag.
It was really bad. Well, and the crab was rolling really
Mhm.
poorly too. If it had hit Zem even once or twice, it could have like offed her. And like it was spending all of its time trying to stop Zem from attacking it, so it was using one of its attacks every turn to try to go after her when it should have just snipped Shar's head off, but it was fun.
What was that?
The crab is a Cancer constellation in the sky. I was thinking like slay the stars, the stars slay you.
So it's a
Oh.
Russian thing. You do not slay the stars slay you.
And solving it, Rasha.
Yeah.
Yep.
What the hell is that joke from?
I think it's maybe Saturday Night Live. I
Is
don't
it?
know. I don't know. In the next episode, episode 56, Keep Him Safe. This is when you all make your way down to Saltspire. You get to the academy. You're standing off in the woods trying to like see what is going on in there. You see the ship, you kind of get caught, you run away, you end up at your childhood home, and you find Char's mom, and we end the episode there before you actually get into the apartment. I don't think there's a ton to talk about in this episode. Oh, I guess the ship.
It took us 3 times to understand what you were telling us, I think, when you described the ship, because we were just dumb.
Well, you were like a wooden structure. It wasn't there before. And I'm like, they built a tower? Like, Jesus Christ.
And I'm like, oh, wow, that's a weird thing to build.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that, because like one was a tower, and then I feel like I might have said that, and because then it was like, no, it's much smaller, and I was like a funeral pyre, like burning a witch at the stake. Like my mind just was not.
I was out of it too, because I think you literally just like, ship. It's the ship.
It's a ship. There's a ship there. A big one. A big flying ship.
Yeah, I snuck in through the graveyard.
Yes.
And were you keeping an eye on Ristos at the cart the entire time? Like, or did you send? No, you sent.
You tried,
Mhm.
and then it was like,
Didn't work.
yeah. So I sent Tora.
Yeah. Which that's actually what helped us like 5 episodes from now figure out where everything was.
Yeah,
That's true.
yeah. And so Tora, like blinked out of existence, and that's when I was like, we gotta go, and we ran, and then we went back to the. Everyone looked at me like I was fucking crazy when I
I
said.
just popped my shoulder.
No,
so-
I don't mean right now. I mean when we were playing before, like when we were recording that episode, and I said we should go home, and everyone was like, "Okay."
If I looked at you weird, it was because I was very excited because I had already decided that the flowers were going to be in the planters on the window, like telling you guys that they were there. So I
Yeah.
was excited because I felt that moment was one that I was really excited to see play out in the game.
Yeah.
I don't remember looking at you weird, but I was having an off year. So
I also was very excited to see you go back through the gates with the guards that always roll ones on perception checks to notice that the most wanted individuals in all of Vela keep going in and out of your stupid city.
I'm telling you, we always find the nihilism hires from like governor's kids who are just like, I need to put in 6 months of service and I'm done.
Yeah.
On to episode 58, Taking the Bait.
What the hell happened to 57?
Oh, 57. I lied. I highlighted the next one by accident. On to episode 57.
But also,
Family
fuck
Secrets.
57.
No, 57's a really good episode. We should talk about that first.
The DM almost skipped it, guys. Congrats.
Listen, I got distracted. Arthur's family brought us tasty, tasty coffee. In Family Secrets, we finally get this moment that we've been building to this whole campaign of Char confronting his parents and saying, I love you. You're always going to be my parents. You raised me. But, like, I know that there is something here you're not telling me, and I need to know now because it's of the utmost importance to the entire world. And they come clean and tell Char what they know about his adoption. And Char handles that news very well. I mean, he's had time to process.
Homeboy jumps out a window.
He's had time to process this stuff, so he knew what the answer would be. This wasn't like a shocker in the moment.
I think genuinely the shock was that they were honest about it. I think was more the shock factor of that at all. Because Char's just like, I know that this is the thing. I thought they were just going to be dodgy about it.
Mhm.
They're going to give me the truth, but in like small details. Not
Yeah.
like, nope, this is what it was.
Yeah, and I think that there was a chance that they could have been a little dodgy if Char wasn't so. Char was in that moment more like, I don't want to say forceful, it's not the right word, but he was more like, he was taking charge in the moment. I know that this is the case. I don't want you to think that I think any differently of you or that you think anything differently of me, but I need to know. And I think him approaching it that way, especially because they've seen him be so like non-confrontational his whole life, signaled to them in the moment like this is actually serious and we shouldn't
Dilly-dally.
dilly-dally.
I love that word.
Yeah. And we end this episode with one of my favorite moments ever, which is Char seeing Xander in the window and Char then choosing to go out the window and chase Xander. And so now we need to talk about that moment because I know that Char and Arthur had very different things that they would have actually done here. And I want to say thank you for doing the Char thing and potentially putting yourself and Zem in mortal danger.
You act like I'm not an actor.
I know, for the sake of the story, because it was a perfection. Talk about that moment, please.
So, first of all, I was ready to just, like, me as Arthur was ready to just fire spells and be like, get the fuck out. And never come back. No, but with Char, like, that was he's riding a high right now. Like, they're alive. Not only did they figure out where the orb is, they know where the ship is. They know where, like, they just got their family back. Kai's alive, and Kai is. Didn't Char have to run out to get something from Gideon's shop first? Was that this episode? Or was that the previous episode?
No, that
when
comes
you
after
come
that.
back.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, but like he's like, you know what? Like, this is an opportunity. Like, I don't think that we're gonna become a thing again, but like, we could use an ally. And it was a trap.
Mm-hmm.
And so he felt stupid, but he's also just like, if he didn't go, he was going to regret it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, completely. So he did not have a choice in that matter. He's just I am so glad that he was the first one out of the orb
thing, out of Rhysos's orb. When Zem comes out then, because Char and you said it.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
This is why people think that we script these things, because it worked out too perfectly, because Char literally said to everybody, hey, give me like 15 seconds before you come out. I'm going to go out and make sure everything's safe in the apartment. And so that gave Char the time to see Xander go invisible, knock Karina over because it's Char, and then dive out the window before Zem could get out and react to what was happening, because Zem probably would have tried to stop him or would have at least tried to go with him. And so, Zem, when you came out of the orb and the window's open, Char's gone, and everybody's like, he just ran away and he knocked me over. What was Zem's reaction?
I think she knew. I think she, like, in her, like, deep gut knew.
I think you knew he was just going to show up again. You didn't know when.
Correct. Yeah. There's only one person that would make Char leave like that. There's only one. So there was not a doubt in Zem's mind. As a player, I fucking loved it. It was so good. But like also like flipping the player into the character and my big sister tendencies, Zem was so fucking annoyed. So annoyed. Like, how dare you? How could you? This is my job. I'm supposed to be the reckless one.
Oh, yeah, he ran up a building.
Yeah. So she was immediately like, son of a bitch. Like, of course she was gonna, try to go after. It was such a good moment, though. It was so good.
And so in that moment, your reaction was to go after him.
Mm-hmm.
But then the pounding on the door
mm-hmm.
and the ending of the episode at that point.
Mm-hmm.
What were both of your thoughts at the end of this episode? I want to know, like, where were you mentally
Desperate.
when you saw the setup here?
Desperate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I also had to pretend that I didn't know they were getting attacked.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He's like, what do you do? I'm like, I'm still running on a roof.
Yeah.
They're going to die, but I'm running on a roof.
Uh, well, and that rolls.
No,
Oh,
we did absolutely skip. We skipped.
Okay, I'm
We
making
did
sure.
What'd we skip?
because Ristos,
Oh,
Ristos was back to
Kai,
her normal
because
self
you did have to go out.
of the orb.
This was before we ever went into the orb.
yeah, when Kai healed Ristos. We did forget to talk
Okay,
about
so
that.
at some point before we went in and out of the orb, Shar and Tora went to Gideon's shop,
Mm-hmm.
found and stole some precious gems so that we could heal.
And you left a fucking note.
I have nothing if not consistent. And he snuck back. I think that took about a half an episode.
It did. You're right. My notes are not that good.
Well, no, it's just like one of those things. I'm like, that for him, that was important because that was him returning home.
Yeah.
Just because it's not that he didn't love his parents and he didn't love his house. Like, it's just like that was where he was most at home. And you've said it on multiple recaps, which is like whenever he's like distressed, it's Glassworks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what it was. It was, I know we can maybe procure this somewhere else,
Yeah.
but he's going to go there.
Yeah, and I love that was one of my favorite parts, and this is in the last Cour, but when we got to see Shar going back to work in the glass forge in Annenfell and seeing him making things and seeing him working with Jay and Jay saying like, oh, like you have skills, like you could do this, like you're fantastic. And like seeing Shar getting to be that person again, that version of himself that's probably at this point impossible to attain again. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, we want to talk about mean. That was mean. Giving us that little slice of peace right before everything got yanked away again. I mean, it was false.
It was false peace.
Yeah, because we went two things, which was we went down to Zem's parents' old apartment.
You did.
To search to see if they just randomly left one because they're rich. And like your mom is
Dahlia
rich
is
because
rich.
she is in the mafia. And so there might have been something left or you hid something. And then that was a bust. So then Shar left to
Right.
Gideon's.
Yeah.
Because the other option was going to steal from Dahlia's shop. I think that was the other option, right? Yeah.
That's true. So yeah, we did gloss over that huge moment, which was Ristos being healed by Kai, which was a beautiful moment, which led to you going into the orb, and then all of the events that are coming now in episode 58, which I called Taking the Bait because it's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to make a decision in this moment, right? Because the question that I had to answer was, did Xander know? Because Xander orchestrated this attack. Did Xander know that Kai, Karina, Ristos healed, and Zima would possibly be in that apartment? And the answer to that question is that Xander may have known about Karina and
Ristos.
Kai. But
I don't think he would have known about Kai. I think he knew Ristos was just feeble-minded.
Well, so he would have known that those two were there, but if he was watching the apartment, staking out, waiting for you to come there, then he would know that those two were there. And he would know that Karina maybe had some skills, and he would be familiar with Kai because she was like the hermit in the woods outside of the garden, right? He would know these two people. But at best, he would know that Ristos was feeble-minded, and he would have no idea that Zima was there. So in my calculations for how many monks would be attacking this apartment, like there was no chance for him being like, I need to send a battalion because there's these 4 high-level spellcasters that are backing Zem up, right?
And I think you fucked up everybody worse than the other 3.
Well, I mean, Zima,
didn't
when Zima
transform
turned
into
into
an ape.
and then started throwing people out the window, it was
That's my favorite Wilhelm.
So good.
it was so good.
They'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah, and so I knew when the episode started that there was a really good chance for Zem to make it out of here. And so at best I was hoping that the monks would be able to capture her, because that was the thing. They weren't going to kill her anyway.
Because none of them were the keepers at all. That was
No.
just the student. Like there was a couple you said that were the beasts,
Yes.
but none of them were keepers, which was
Yes. And so then it was, okay, if Xander has any indication that Zem is not going to be captured, would he take Char in, right? And then so that whole thing playing out between like the kiss fighting with Char and Xander out in that alley, and then the actual fighting happening with Zem and flashing back and forth between those scenes was so much fun for me.
And then I get visibly angry when you're like, all right, and go back to Zen. I'm like, no!
Yeah.
Because we were not on a turn-based system, but they were.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I feel like between Xander and Char, there was no chance that one of you was going to kill the other. That was not going to happen. Number one, because Char couldn't kill Xander even if he wanted to. And I'm not talking emotionally, I'm talking physically. He could not kill Xander if he wanted to. And so as soon as I understood that Xander, under no circumstances would Xander kill Char either, it just became like okay, this is like a loosely initiative-based thing where the two of you are just acting out this thing, trying to figure out what happens next, and then swapping over to Zem in the much more like calculated combat.
Actual kill. They're trying to kill us all.
Yes.
The kill triangle, if you will.
Where is Char with Xander after that moment? See, when Xander said to Char, like, I have to take one of you in, and Char's like, what do you mean? He's like, well, if I have to take one of you in, it has to be Zamira. It has to be Zamira. She's going in. They're probably going to kill her, and this is my way of keeping you alive. What did that do to Char in the moment, hearing Xander say that to him?
That was like, for him, that was like point of no return. Like, I have attempted to persuade or dissuade from being on the side that he's at, like offering a redemption, mercy, if you will. But that was the point where he's like, you know what? I think this is it. Like, we're not coming back from this ever. And he's gotten to the point with this episode where he didn't get to the point where he would hit or hurt Xander, but he would not stop him from getting hit or hurt, which is the way that he was before.
Yeah. Well, it was
beginning of the end.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see in this moment because it's very much like a Xander and Zem, and they're on opposite sides here, right? And it's not that you're being told you have to choose between them, but you're being told, like, in Xander's mind, he would not protect Zamira. He would not protect her. And for Char, like, that is something that, I mean, neither of you would make the decision to hurt the other. We've established that recently in the episodes, like we've talked about. And so it was nice to see Char stand up and say, like, I care about you both, but if this is the path you're taking, I'm choosing her. And it was sad. Poor Xander.
Yeah, well, that was never going to end well.
No.
That was never going to end well after the visit to the garden.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there was a little bit of a chance, and then you just ripped it from under us. And then we did the dramatization, so that was fun.
There's still more to see play out with the Xander arc.
For sure, but it's just a different dynamic now.
It's a different dynamic now.
What's that look for?
The dynamic is when he's at the end of my blade and I kill him.
Why the fuck are you using a blade?
Because it'll hurt more.
Fair.
Really? Fair. Dude, I've been tased. It sucks.
We all do both.
And so Char goes running back towards the apartment, and and he knows Xander's following him because he can hear the footsteps behind him, and he sees Zem running towards him in the opposite direction as well.
I beat your goons, you fucking asshole.
Yeah, I think in that moment, though, Arthur was just like, did you just doppelganger me? Like, I don't know if I trust this. Because it was too convenient, and I'm like,
Oh, for me to be running?
Yeah, we're like running out in the streets already.
Well, I'm glad you didn't believe that.
Yeah. But I'm just like, would Leah do this? And I looked at how much time was left. I'm like, probably not.
Probably not.
I can imagine you would have like punched me in the face, and I would have been like, "Why?"
Except meta knowledge, I absolutely would not, because you were hitting on like a point and a half of hit points. Like, you got hit hard.
A lot. I
'Cause
got hit a lot.
Like, you
Yeah.
got put on the ground and stunned.
Yeah.
Yeah, Zem got beaten up a lot. There was the freaking manacles that were on your wrists, done with a natural 20, and then freaking, I don't want to talk about what happened.
Portents.
Portents.
Thank
I don't give a
Christ.
shit. His name was Mike. What We Do in the Shadows is one of my favorite shows.
But there is a moment that Jen and I have talked about numerous times that happens right at the end of this episode that we think is a very interesting turning point for Shar the character. And that is when there is one of the monks left who has been charmed by or dominated by Ristos, who is just standing there. And Shar makes the decision to take them out in the hallway and off them.
Yeah.
Shar, who has used a wooden katana, who was very averse to killing when this campaign started, made the choice to kill somebody who in that moment was not a threat. We'll start with Arthur, talk about where Shar was in that moment, and then Jen and I will talk about our feelings about it afterwards.
So Shar was like adrenaline filled the entire way through that episode,
Mhm.
up to the very end, and he's like, you know what, like, being exposed to Zamira for as long as he has, like, he's had to adapt how his tactics work, both in combat and the long term. And he's like, you know what, if we are actually going to do this, and we are going to go and invade Stellium, they can't know anything.
Mm-hmm.
And Xander may be a threat, but the worst he thinks he's going to do is just not do anything until they get to Stellium. So he was siphoning the foreknowledge that they were coming soon, or where they were.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they left evidence, the only thing they would know is the monks were dead. And it was a horrifying thing for him to have to do. But he also didn't, he understands, that's the other thing too. He understands what most of these monks, like, going in there, they want to be good. And they want to be just. And they want to fight the good fight. And for him, there was no turning back. So for him, it was a mercy for him to die. Now, your thoughts. Or you think I was just pissed off that week?
No. I felt that it was more a I don't know how to phrase it. Like, we've said many times that Shar and Zem are like two sides of the same coin, and it felt like a little bit of a turn where I'm starting to be like Zamira's starting to be a little more level-headed-ish. She's starting to. And that was a real Zem move. it felt like we are rubbing off on each other, like we're starting to find some sort of middle ground between, like, I'm gonna say pious because I don't know what else to say. It's not that Shar is, but like tries to act in a better manner, whereas Zamira's like, I'm gonna get what I want, and we're balancing out.
Yeah.
I would agree.
We're not directly 180 across from each other anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it very much because it played into what we were just talking about with Nox and the idea that people aren't so black and white. Power isn't so black and white. Choices aren't so black and white. Sometimes we have to do the bad thing so that the good things can come from it, right? And it felt to me very much like Shar, again, making a hard decision that he would not have been able to do 58 episodes ago.
I think it was maybe Doctor Who It was that sometimes the only choices you have are bad, but you still need to choose.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
Like, that's where we're at right now.
The American presidency.
The American presidency.
I mean, that too. Idea. We should probably delete that.
We'll do it. Bleep.
Anonymous shows up.
Oh, there is a guest.
Oh man, there's so much. Wait, there's one more thing that I want to talk about, sort of like outside of time now, which is fitting because of what it is, and it's Ristos's little orb of, house that she has.
Orb of house.
Orb of
Is that
house.
what the spell's called?
That's
now?
what it's called. Yeah.
Ristos's Orb of House.
Ristos's orb of house. This place, it's very interesting. It's clearly some sort of artifact from 2,000 years ago that makes a sort of stable demiplane, magnificent mansion situation. But there are doors here that are locked that she can't access. And there's a lot of stuff that happens here that she doesn't necessarily understand why it happens. It just does. Jen, I can already see the look on your face right now.
Yeah, if you think this hasn't been itching my brain since you first mentioned it, you have another thing coming. I'm very much that game player that needs to open every fucking drawer in a room, so like I need to go back there.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, I want to too, but at the same time, it felt like a video game where like you can't go that way yet, and I'm like, fine.
Yeah, there was definitely a measure of that just because of the time crunch we've been in the last 5 episodes with all this like shit piling up at the same time waiting to knock the dominoes down.
I think you
Um,
did even say like, look, like you can do this. This will just push the end game later and later, and we're just like, okay.
Yeah, and I mean that there's no time crunch on that specifically, so we can actually end end arc 1 and then come back to this, which we should totally do that. Anyway,
Is that what we're doing instead? Or are we rewriting what we're recording?
I don't know. We'll talk about it. But yeah, Shar, how does Shar feel going into a place like that, given that he does not have magical training and this is well above his pay grade?
I think I felt the same that Shar did, which was he just had to sit down
Mm-hmm.
in a magical chair. It was brought like a magical hot towel and like tea. Like it was weird.
Yeah.
And it's not that Shar didn't think that that kind of magic exists. I mean, they were in the El Estinome for how long? It's just like, what the fuck are we getting into?
Yeah.
And if it was more of a measure of like, if Ristos is this powerful, how fucking difficult is it going to be to defeat Delius?
Yeah.
And it was kind of like all that just wrapped up into a ball.
Yeah, and if she's this powerful, but there's places here that she can't go, and magic here she doesn't understand, how dangerous could this place be? Which I'm sure Zem is not even concerned about at
even
this
give a
point.
shit.
She's
And I think that was why also the second part of that is why Shar wanted to get the fuck out of the orb first too. So it just worked out.
yeah. All right, on to episode 59, Meet Me at the Point. This is, again,
Very full circle moment.
a very full circle moment. Yeah, because what episode 1 was called Meet Me at the Point, episode 59 is Meet Me at the Point again. We end the fight. Zem and Shar are reunited. There's another communication with everybody who is now in this massive party saying, like, what are we doing? How we clearly can't stay here. Where are we going? Zem and Shar choose to go to the Temple of the Divines to stay for the night, which is an interesting full circle moment for Shar because that's where he was when we started, as a security guard at the Temple of the Divines. And we got to see his replacement, which was very much meant to mirror Shar in those moments. This like lost looking little puppy dog boy with, curly hair doing a very bad job at being security in a place that probably doesn't need a lot of security anyway. How was that? Coming the whole way back to the beginning, knowing though that we were now in the end game of this arc, that you were about to storm the proverbial castle in the coming episodes.
I think like going back there felt like limbo, which is like, this is where you have to stay for a brief period of time before you can move on with your life.
Yep, I agree.
I like that.
God damn it, therapy.
I really like that. Did you have something to add, Jen?
No, that was very on the nose.
It was very good. We also had this interesting moment, though, where you saw somebody sitting on a bench. Tora tried to investigate them. The rolls weren't too great, so you didn't see their face, but you saw a bit of a conversation of somebody who was clearly looking for the two of you. You had thoughts about who that person could be. It
Yeah.
has not been revealed or discussed in the game since that moment. I would like to hear your best guesses at who you both think it is.
Don't remember her name.
Genevieve?
Nope.
Dahlia?
Nope. It was Kay's character.
Alias.
Yes. That's who I think it is.
Interesting. See, my thing is like I just assumed that it was like Dahlia, and I'm like, cool, we're done. Not putting much more thought into that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he wasn't seeing anything.
I don't think it was Dahlia because we got the paper bird.
Shar doesn't really know any better. He also got attacked by a paper bird again. That's gonna be a consistent running theme, and I love it.
Oh, I just remember the paper bird with a little drawing with Aaron and Rafe. It was cute.
I kept that. I folded it to the corners.
It was very sweet.
I did. I feel like I did. I tried to do a couple of those. Like, I folded it to the corners in the first episode to meet at the point and stuff like that. I tried to remember our beginnings because I was not sure where this was going.
Yeah. And so from this point on, episodes 60 to 63 are basically just meeting back up with the friends and heading on into Stellium. So we're going to take these all as a giant bundle. And I'm going to say so much happens in these episodes that I highly recommend. If you're watching or listening to these recaps to get caught up, cool. Probably just go now and listen to 60 to 63 because there's a lot that happens here. But for everybody who has listened,
We're just gonna speed run.
we're just gonna speed run. You get with your friends. Karina convinces you to let her come with. You go back into the orb so that you can enter the headmistress's office by the door that exits directly out.
Magical back door, sneak into the academy.
Magical back door, sneak into the academy.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
You head out into the hallway.
You know exactly what's wrong with me.
Kill some guards. You head downstairs. Zem charms somebody. You walk right across the quad into the wizard's tower and start a huge fight.
On accident.
With a keeper and a bunch of monks and some guards. You head up the stairs. You shove Xander off the stairs. We have to touch on that moment.
I like my favorite moment was you pushed him and I'm like, oh. And I
shove a Vinius off too. And
Bitch.
And then it was then revealed that there was no fucking railing on the stairs.
That was horrifying.
And I'm like,
yeah. And so let's just touch on that point. You stop. We'll stop right here. You're on the stairs. Ristos has given one of her big spell slots remaining to send you to the portal to the top of these, not the top, to the third floor landing of these stairs. And you're both pretty beaten up, pretty depleted because you've had to fight your way through here. And then
we fought a keeper.
And you fought a keeper. And you know that Ristos is now fighting that keeper alone. You're pretty sure she's probably going to die. And you hear the scream from above. That is Rafe. And we ended the episode there. In that moment, the two of you had options. You also knew that Xander and Avinius were now down on the floor as well, which was going to add to the problems that Karina, Zima, Kai, Ristos were having. So you could go down, try to help your friends. You could go up, try to help Rafe, or go the whole way up and try to stop whatever's happening with the orb. What was going through your minds?
That the last time you made me choose and I chose Rafe, someone died.
Mm-hmm.
And I did it anyway.
Yeah.
In
in fairness, somebody did die.
Yeah. So I knew that he had been held for a while. Like it it was a problem. Like, it wasn't like a recent fight that he was in. His chances for survival in my mind were lower than anyone else's.
And in
Kind
your
of.
mind too.
So,
Yeah. Yep.
so that's the way that I went.
What did Shar want to do in that moment?
Follow Zem. Shar, like, if Zem was not involved, he probably would have skipped Rafe and gone straight to the top because that was the whole plan. Like, he assumed that Ristos would not win at all,
Mhm.
and it would just be Xander and the Keeper coming after them. And
Yeah.
so he had to try to stop it. But since Zem was involved, this is where we're going, this is what we're doing. Cool. And so that's what happened.
All right. I do want to touch on how I was handling that combat and how I handle big combats like this because I've gotten some questions about it from people online. I was running no short of like 24 NPCs in that fight. If I rolled every attack that these people made against each other, it would have taken 6 hours and would not have been fun to listen to because it would have just been me playing with myself. Anyway, so
But
so what I do is I create a spreadsheet where I have the NPCs who are going to be in a fight and their general like plus to hit, their spell save DCs, things like that on the sheet. And so when I have specifically 2 NPCs who are going head to head, I can compare them quickly on a spreadsheet and decide like overall on average who is going to win this fight. And then at big moments, I will make rolls or I will have Jenn and Arthur make rolls to just determine like is in this big moment does the underdog have a chance to overcome it? And then from there, it's just how long can they survive? And the things that Zem and Shar do in those moments can mitigate, like, okay, Kai only had 3 more rounds with this person, but Zem did this to help her, and so now she has 5. Or like maybe it turned the tide of the battle, and now somebody's come to help her. And so it's stuff like that. It's ways to make mass combats easier to run because anytime you have more than 2 or 3 NPCs in a fight, especially when you only have 2 PCs, it bogs down combat.
Yeah, and keep
Too
in
much.
mind, we've been doing this, not the podcast, but just D&D and tabletop for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Most of us have read a lot of the supplements that like help what people have done.
Yes.
What? I didn't say anything.
I'm not one of them. I'm the worst.
Jenn does not read the supplements.
Yeah.
We have an entire drive where there is a fuck ton of like everything that we could possibly want, and we've read through a lot of it, minus Jenn. So we've created our own way of mitigating bogging of down combat.
Yes, because we've definitely played in those games where it was 3
Fucking
PCs
miserable.
and 24 kobolds running at us and rolling slingshots to hit people. It's too much. It's too much. Ain't nobody got time for that. But yeah, so and to that effect, I want to say, there were things set up multiple times throughout this campaign, but especially in these episodes, that I did not think were overcomable obstacles. I did not think when Zem and Shar chose to go the rest of the way up the stairs alone and to break into that room with Ambrose, who was in a feeding frenzy, so had higher stats than normal, with a Wraith who was chained to the wall with 40 hit points remaining, and that was his max because he had been bled by Ambrose. And Arena, who had 1 spell slot left, which I rolled for, which ended up being a 5th level spell slot. Of course it was. Like, it still should have been impossible. But my dice rolls were so bad because Arthur cursed my dice.
You're welcome.
And Ambrose couldn't hit anybody to literally save his own life. It was very frustrating.
Bye.
It was very,
And that's the thing.
it was very frustrating for me.
We
in that
also
moment.
fucked up rules on all ends
Mm.
for a bunch of stuff.
There were some things that got messed up.
We're going to get better at that. I make no promises about everything.
I think the damage thing was definitely a problem, but still, Ambrose should have overcome all of that. The 2 of you were so banged up. Rena and Rafe should not have been able to survive. The fact that he couldn't roll higher than a 3 to hit anything was just infuriating. But he died.
Allegedly.
And it was allegedly he died. And it was shitty. But you came out of the room. Rena and Rafe are like, okay, we will go try to help the people downstairs, but we're pretty banged up. And when you open the door, I rolled a d4 to determine who was coming up those stairs. And I told you that a 1 is bad, 2 through 4 was good. You rolled a 3, and Ristos was alive.
Still don't know how that happened.
If you had rolled a 1, it would have been Quarren coming up the stairs, and Ristos would have been dead.
Yeah.
Um,
Who were the other two? Was it Kima or who was the other one that came? Was it Karina? Maybe would have been coming up. How did you have that statted out?
4 would have been Kai.
Oh, okay.
Karina
Kai.
was already dead. And a 2 would have been Zima.
Zima, not Kima.
Yes. But because of that roll, it also determined who was alive and who was dead, because there was a lot going on down there. And one of my favorite quotes was at that moment when Ristos was like, "Come on, Zem, we promised to kill Delius together." It just felt so perfect in the moment.
Da-da-da-da.
And it felt like what Zem needed to hear to get the rest of the way up the stairs, at which point you look out the window and you see the ship being attacked. And in this moment, you couldn't, your vision was not, your perception rolls were not good enough to see who was out there.
Never been good.
But in that moment, Zem and Jenn had an intuition that it was probably some orc people coming to help.
I would like to just state for the record, because nobody can see me, that like my shit-eating grin is taking up my entire face. I just feel so fucking powerful right now. And this is Jenn speaking.
You literally are just like, my fucked up plan worked.
I nailed it. Thanks, fate.
Thanks, the universe.
It was a great moment. And that was one of those things that I had not actually planned out prior to that. I had that idea as you were coming up the stairs. And I was like, no, I love this. And Jen's going to be really happy. See, I let happy things happen
She does.
sometimes.
Yeah.
That was a happy moment.
Use
One
it
of the
against
irony
me
of
later,
that
but-
is you gave us that because we should have died.
Because you should have died. That was a present for not
It's
dying.
like a reward.
It was, I reward you for not dying. Good job. And then you go into the lab at the top of the tower.
And it's like that day's death number 3.
Yes.
I think my favorite part of that is like Shar tries to roll into the table. Like, which table? I'm like, there's multiple tables? And so the entire beginning of that conversation, Shar is just like under a table on the opposite end of the fucking room, thinking that he was in the center. It's just like,
I'm gonna duck under the table, and then the women just come through like
yeah. So I think I'm tactically in the middle of the room, and you're like, no, you're not.
No.
I'm like, well, this was dumb.
Such a Shar moment, though.
It was
hilarious.
100%.
Because it was so clear that you missed when she talked about distance earlier.
Yeah.
And so I was like, what are you talking about?
It was very much like a pile of trees moment.
Yeah.
Amazing.
But yeah, so long story short, you come up these stairs, you get in this fight with Delius. Even as powerful as he is, there's 3 of you against 1 of him. And 2 interesting things happen here.
We learned how spells work.
A lot of interesting things happen. We learn how spells work. That does happen.
I'm still angry about that.
Dahlia tries to save Zem in a very stupid, misguided way and gets herself murdered. Zem touches the orb. Shar gets banished.
You want to talk about moments where I thought you were both going to fucking kill me? That was... Arthur straight up left the room.
I did, because I thought the game was over. I'm like, oh, all right.
I'd do it again.
I know.
Um,
It was just one of those, like, she's not. Holy shit. We're in the middle of this massive combat. Char's banished.
oh
I'm
man.
spinning like a ballerina. That's very much that moment.
And you're in darkness, so nobody fucking knows what's happening. And so you're just like, I'm going to end the fucking world. And Char's in a different part of the universe.
Touched
And I'm
a
just
butt.
like, oh, I'm done.
Touched a
I'm
butt.
dead. I'm just stuck here now.
Well, and that's what I loved that moment because I don't even remember episode really long time ago, probably 30 episodes ago, Delius threatened Zem. Like, what happens if you get banished? Like, letting her know that he could and would do this to her if he had to. And then in that moment, him saying, like, I was saving this for Zamira, but I guess it's you this time, and banishing Char in that moment was just like, it felt good.
I worked my ass off to get him from not being able to cast spells. I mean, I worked my
You
ass
did.
off.
You
And
did.
you're just like, that's not how the spell works. And we read 4 times. I'm like, fuck, you're right. Because I was trying to center it on him.
I know.
So, was there a, and you don't have to answer this if you don't want, because I don't know if it's like future, but like, is there a way, was there any other place we would have been banished to?
No. Whichever one of you got banished was heading directly to Lyra.
Which, I mean, makes sense.
That would have been his fucking downfall. Like, I almost wished he would have.
Well, actually, it would have been way worse for Zem because Zem has pissed off Adria.
Yeah, but she could have, come on. I would have made it back around.
That's true. But, like, it would have been a much more contentious fight, tense. And if Zem had mouthed off, it could have ended in something bad happening to Zem.
So,
It was probably better for Char.
Yes, but
Yeah.
like, I don't know that he would have joined forces. Like, I would have been like, listen, I know you're mad at me. Hear me out.
Yes.
Let's do this.
And I had Arthur tracking how many rounds he was banished for 2 reasons. One, because if you're banished for a minute, you stay banished if you're in the place where you're supposed to be. The second reason is because after a certain point, he was going to be stuck there because he was going to go into that cave with the anti-magic field, in which case he would not have come back. Arthur,
mhm.
as a person who plays 5e, understands the rules, understood what I was saying when I was as Adria, being like, hey, just so you know, cards on the table, you go in here, your magic probably isn't going to work. So
Yeah.
you know
Like,
what
I'm not
I am
fucking coming
communicating
back,
to you. Yeah. This is as close to metagaming as we've ever come because I, in that moment, did not want to remove this character from you in an unfair way. So I played this off as Adria being like, look, this is what happens. Your magic just might not work. What were you thinking in that moment?
The problem is, me as Arthur knows this is a terrible idea. And he
Mhm.
absolutely should not do that because I will lose this character. However, that's not how Char would have thought about it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Which means that Char, quite literally, up till the last couple seconds, was ready to walk into the anti-magic field.
Mm-hmm.
Or I don't think you said it was anti-magic, it was like wild magic field or something like that. Like,
Yeah,
your
I
spells
just
act
described
differently.
it. Yeah, I described it as basically like just like a shielding effect because I didn't want to talk about it too metagamey-ish, but like yeah.
So the way you described it was not that it was anti-magic. Char's just like, okay, my spells just don't behave the same way.
Mm-hmm.
I would still have magic. So technically he felt a little bit more comfortable. If she had said like no magic, he would have been far more hesitant. But he was going to go because the option was either like, I'm going to have to find a way to get back to this place because that's my mom.
Yes, and that was quite the reveal. Like a lot of people have been curious about like who is Char's mom? Is it Adria? Is it this woman? Is it somebody unrelated entirely? And that was kind of a reveal that came at a weird moment because there was so much happening. But we now know, at least according to Adria, and she doesn't have a reason to lie in this moment, who Char's mom is. What was that like for Char?
That's kind of his next motivation point, I think, going forward, is that it's not that he doesn't think that that's his parents anymore, because his parents are set in stone.
Absolutely.
But he does not know who he is. In the very least, that would open up an avenue of okay, let's find out more about myself here.
And what does this do in this moment with his relationship with Adria? We already know that Adria was thinking about killing Shar. She said that she needs to kill at least one of you. Uh in those moments she was saying like, well, maybe I'll see if you can help me with something, which you're not sure what that is at this moment, but you know that she has your mother captive for some reason. What is Shar now, like Adria is public enemy number 1?
No, so that's actually the irony is that little experience actually removed her from the top of Char's list a little bit because it was the avenue of, hey, this is the third option. Because she didn't even think that we were going to be there.
Mhm.
The only way she's communicated with us is like this weird dream neurolink.
Yes.
So having us there in person might be our third option to be able to save everybody, neither of us die,
Mhm.
and figure out what the fuck is going on. Now, do I think that she still needs to die? Yeah. But just like she's using us, we're using her too.
Smart. Zem has no idea that any of this has happened yet because you haven't
Not
had a chance
yet.
to talk about it during the game. But Zem was having her own interesting encounter in the darkness bubble with the orb, where you actually had a connection with Nex.
The
Um,
darkness bubble.
and Nex was showing you how to open the orb, basically speaking in Celestial, using your own blood to open this orb. And whenever you removed your hand and dropped the bubble, uh when the whole fight was over, you told Ristos like, nobody should touch that and I don't want it near me. Did it scare them?
Um, uh, I feel like scare is probably too strong a word. I think she's just more really cautious about it because it, at least to her, it sounded like there needed to be some intent. For Zem, it was also about the things that weren't said. So we're keys. Keys lock and unlock.
Mm-hmm.
So there's more there than just unlocking this orb and unlocking him from his prison. Clearly, there's other things we are capable of. And that's really more where she was going. And it was, get this away from me for now while I work this out. And not necessarily like forever or I'm scared of it. It's just I don't want any accidents to occur before I am prepared or ready for whatever we decide going forward.
And I'm pretty sure Char was still banished at that point too.
You were.
So that could have been a different circumstance if he had been there.
We're back to more secrets.
Yeah.
I mean, but like we just haven't had time.
Absolutely. And I think that in that moment, I, as the DM, was concerned because when you cast that darkness bubble, this was after
The darkness bubble.
Shar disappears, Zem screams. Zem goes to this orb. Zem's not in a good place. I was concerned that Zem was about to just like be like, I am, you know what? I don't care. Just open it and see what happens. Cause I was a little concerned.
Well, I think that that's the one grounding part of her personality that Zem has is like, they might not call it sciences, but she's got a scientific mind. So like she wants to see like, okay, what does the thing do? Let's poke it, let's push it, let's look. But also she's not just going to believe that Char's gone, like truly irreparably gone until she sees it. So even being banished, being gone, she wouldn't just assume that there was no way to bring him back. It She would need to see a lifeless body in front of her and have no means to bring him back.
Yeah.
Before she truly gave up.
Let's talk about that eventuality, though. Let's not the one where Shar dies, but the one where Shar's banishment stands. You, between the two of you, you and Ristos, you kill Dalius. Shar does not come back. What does that look like for Zem? Because we've talked about in the past, what would happen if one of these characters died? And the consensus is usually like both of you would create new characters. Something would happen with the one that was alive, which we won't talk about because that is something that may play out at some point. But it would eventually lead to 2 new PCs and probably a very different story going forward. But you, as a player, knowing that there is a way to get to Shar. He's not gone forever. He's banished. You know that. Zem does not know that. You'd have to find a way to roleplay that in the game. Would you continue with Zem? And would Zem accept that Shar was gone, or would her next thing be like, I need to find where he is?
I would need to find where he is. So she would not accept that he was just gone, and she wouldn't move on with her life.
No body, no crime.
Everything else, well, then I am fucking innocent. Everything else would be like take a back seat. Like literally everything in her life. So the relationship she's still figuring out and forging with Rafe, like that's going to be on hold. Like literally everything is going to be on hold until she gets back to Shar, whatever that looks like. Whether she can bring him here or she has to go to him, she will figure something out, but that is her intent. As far as continuing to play Zamira, I potentially, if we had the ability to find a character in which she could go on this mission with, whether this is like Arthur taking over one of the myriad NPCs we've come across, or just a student who maybe lost everything and now they're like, fuck these people, and I'm like, yes. Let's go.
We'll pull from my myriad of 5,000 characters on.
Right. And so, maybe it's someone from the garden who didn't want to participate in the ways that they were forced to, or someone from Annenfeld. Like,
it's Erebon.
I don't think I could play Erebon. I could, don't get me wrong, but I don't want to.
You don't want to play the simp for Rena?
No. Nah, that one would hurt. Because the irony is that Rena did have a crush on Shar, I think which is really fucking funny.
So you'd have to have a crush on yourself?
Yeah. It's weird.
All right. Well, with that being said, that's all the episodes in the 4th Cour. Any final words?
I loot the corpse.
I loot the corpse. Those are good final words. Same.
I got nothing.
All right.
It's coming for you.
It's coming for you.
Wait, when is this being released?
I don't know.
Merry Christmas.
That is the perfect ending. When's this being released? I don't know. Merry Christmas.
Intro music by Isaac Vyers. Character designs by Cam Gonzalez. Produced by Leah Hemrick. Graphics designer Jenn Kearney. And audio engineer Arthur Polino.